Welcome everyone. Today we are talking about getting started with blogging with Seesaw. So thanks for taking time out of your busy day to be here today or listening to the recording and learning more about getting started blogging. So today what we are focusing on is, again, just getting started blogging. So we're going to talk about why blog, how to set up your blog, how to use Seesaw connected blogs. We're going to give a little bit of tips regarding digital citizenship, and then just general getting started advice. And then we will have time for questions at the end. So a little bit about me. I'm Angela, and I am on the teacher success team here at Seesaw. And I have been a classroom teacher for the last 15 years. And if you want to connect with me, there's my Twitter info. But my students were using Seesaw blogs last year in my kindergarten classroom. So I'll talk a little bit about that as we get going here. When I'm not seesawing, I'm usually outside with my kids or husband and maybe trying out a new recipe. So again, I'm excited that everyone is joining us here today, and we have a lot to discuss, so let's get cruising. So first of all, what is a Seesaw blog? So really you need to think of it as an extension of your Seesaw class. It's a way to publish student work to a broader global audience. So we already know that families are connected directly to your Seesaw class, so the blog is really for your students to connect with other peers globally. Anything in your Seesaw class can be published to your Seesaw blog with just a couple taps. So photos, videos, drawing, notes, everything that's in Seesaw can go right to the blog, and it's super simple. So why are you thinking about blogging, or should you be thinking about blogging? It really gives students a global and authentic audience, of course, for their work. They're developing writing skills, reflection, critical thinking, and again, just lends itself well to that student ownership and voice. Again, it's a safe way for them to practice and develop those digital citizenship skills. When you're using Seesaw blogs, the teacher approves all comments going on the blog. You're approving all posts that are going to the blog as well. Really is a way to promote collaboration and conversation between diverse groups of students, but also it's a great way to showcase work with an even larger audience outside of maybe the families you already have connected to Seesaw or the students in your classroom as well. So I wanted to share this picture. This was one of my kindergartners last year, and just to think that, you know, my student was viewing work and commenting on work from peers in Hong Kong was pretty amazing, just from inside our little kindergarten classroom in Minnesota. So that is pretty amazing when you think of those connections and ability to understand and maybe have some empathy for students and their experiences throughout the world. So this is really basic stuff on this slide here. You really, to start off, the first step is you have to have a Seesaw class. You can't have a Seesaw blog without first having your Seesaw class. So you do have to set up your Seesaw class, and then each class in Seesaw gets its own separate Seesaw blog. And then teachers just set up one blog for each class, not one per student. But we're going to talk a little bit about how you can filter that blog to almost appear as an individual student blog. And then, of course, you can set it up from iOS or Android or even on the web. So just note, you are going to get these slides and you're going to get this recording as well. So there are some resources in the slides that I'm going to go through pretty quickly, but just note, you're going to get this, so you'll have this as a reference. So don't feel like you have to take notes or anything. Just, you know, kind of watch and be ready to soak it in. So let's jump in right now and talk about how to actually set up your blog once you have your Seesaw class going. So we're going to look at it live, but just note when you get these slides, this link right here will show you a separate video about how to do this. So I'm going to show you right now basically the entire contents of the video, but in case you want to refer back to that. So here we are in a Seesaw class. This is just a regular Seesaw class, and I actually named it Angela's blogging class, but it is not, the blog is not connected yet. So once you're signed in here as a teacher to any of your Seesaw classes, what you're going to do is in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to tap on your profile icon and then scroll down to Manage Class. Once you get there, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see kind of in the center here, midway down, is class blog. So what I'm going to do is right now my blog is not enabled, so I'm going to turn it on, and you're going to see a couple things that's going to walk us through the process. So let's do that. Let's create our blog. And you'll notice that it just generates it with your class's name, but if you want to change that blog name, you could right there. And then down here is where you're going to create your URL or web address for your blog. So let's try, oh, let's see, Angela's, oh, see, I can't do Angela, blogging class. So we'll see, it's gonna let us know if that URL has already been taken. This one's good. We're good to go. So I'm gonna just do the green check mark. And then you'll notice here at the top, it just reminds you that only student first names and their profile icons are going to show with their post. So even if in your Seesaw class you do have last names showing in the your regular Seesaw class, they don't appear on the blog. So right now, enable comments on the blog, that's turned on. Just note all comments do require teacher approval from the blog. And also I could choose to password protect my blog by toggling this on. So again, that's a choice that you can make. You can leave it public. That's what it is by default. So students would, or parents or families or the world would need to know your URL to get to that blog, but then they can view it, or you can password protect the blog by just toggling that on and setting a password. For this one, I'm not going to set a password, so I'm just going to do the green check, and our blog is set up. So right now, I could tap right here to go on the internet to visit the blog, but here we go. This is what my blog looks like right now, okay? Nothing too fancy here. You'll see the name of the blog, you'll see the URL of the blog here, and then if I click on this gear icon, I can actually add a description here. So I could say we are a third grade class in Minnesota looking to make global connections. Okay, you can do whatever description you want. You can also add a header image right here. So if I tap on that, I can use my camera, or I could upload an image from somewhere else, and it's going to change this blue space to that image. So it makes it look a little bit fancier. So that's all. Our blog is ready to go. So you'll notice here that I have 3 different views. So if I tap right here, this is back to my regular Seesaw class, okay? Regular old Seesaw class. If I tap in the center, that's the calendar view of your Seesaw class. And if I tap the globe icon, that is now my class blog, okay? So if I go back to my feed view, how do I actually add content to the blog? So I'm a teacher right now. So any item that I as a teacher want to publish to the blog, I can find that item, tap the globe icon under it, and just tap publish to blog. So that was literally 2 clicks, and that item is now published to our class blog. Okay, you'll see that there's this little banner here that says publish to the blog, just so you note that. Now if I go up here in the upper right and I tap on the blog, I'm going to see that that item is there. Okay, so that's pretty easy. I want to show you from the student perspective, because I'm signed in right now to this Seesaw class as a teacher. So you're probably wondering, well, what does this look like from the student perspective? So I'm going to show you that from what my iPad looks like. So here's my iPad. I'm in the same exact class right now, but you can tell I'm signed in as a student because in the upper left it says class account. So if I were a student, I could then choose to publish my work. So let's say I'm Claire, and I want this to go on the blog. So I'm going to tap the globe icon, and then I'm going to tap publish. So you'll see that it is letting the student know that this is waiting for teacher approval to be published to the blog. Even though it's already been approved and in the Seesaw class, the teacher still needs to approve. So now if I go back to the teacher view here, and I'm going to see that I have one unapproved item. So if I tap down here, here is this item that is being requested from Claire to be published to the blog. So then I could just do the green check and approve that item, and then that item will appear on the class blog. So if I tap in the upper right to the class blog, there is that item. Now you'll notice too that I'm on the blog right now and I only have 2 students listed. You might be thinking, where are all my students? It's because they don't all have content yet published to the blog. So only students that have content published to the blog will actually show up here. Now, if I just tap on one individual student, it's basically going to sort the entire blog to show all the content from that student. So keep that in mind as well. So that's kind of the basics of actually just getting started with your class blog. So just to clarify, if I just want to start to communicate with families, should I create a blog? And the answer that I would give you is no, because you're inviting families to subscribe to their child's Seesaw portfolio just in the regular Seesaw class. So they're going to get notifications about new posts in the Seesaw class. They're going to see, you're going to be able to see who's seen that work as from the teacher perspective. Seesaw blogs are really designed for opening up your classroom to a larger, global community and giving your students that connection. So keep that in mind as well. The other neat feature I want to show you right now is how you can actually use Seesaw connected blogs. So again, just like I showed you live last time, I'm going to do that again now with Seesaw connected blogs, but just keep in mind this link will take you to a tutorial video. So after, if you're like, I need to watch that again, you could do that as well. So let's go back into my Seesaw class here. So again, I'm in class view right now, just regular Seesaw class. If I want to connect to another blog, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap my profile icon, go to Manage Class, and then I'm going to scroll down. Here I have my class blog section. So again, I can get to all the things I want to change from the settings to the appearance, but right now I want to go to Connected Blogs. So I'm going to tap right here, and I'm not yet connected to any other classroom blogs. So right now I'm going to connect to a blog by tapping this Connect to Blog button on the bottom. You'll notice that you're just adding the URL to the blog that you want to connect to. And these are just Seesaw blogs that you're going to connect to. So I know that Miss V has a 4th grade blog. So I'm going to try that. And there it is. The name of the blog and the description comes up. If I want to preview it, let's tap on there. So this is just showing you a preview of that class blog. And if you're like, yes, this looks amazing, I want to join that class blog, I can do that. So I'm just going to tap Connect to Blog, and then you're going to notice that our class is now connected to that blog. So let's peek back. Here I am in my Seesaw class. To get to the blog again, I'm just going to go to the right and tap the globe icon. So here I am in our class blog, but now I see this Connected Blogs kind of banner show up. So if I tap on Connected Blogs, I am able to then jump to a different class to view their blog. So I can jump to 4th grade adventures, and it takes me to their blog. What I love about this is your students have already a space where they can go to blogs that are already approved by you and already, in Seesaw. So they're not having to sign out of Seesaw and log back in and go to different URLs. They can simply tap on Connected Blogs. They can go back to their class blog, or they can tap here and visit another class blog. So the other thing I want to show you is we have this amazing document right here that is linked in our presentation, but I'm just going to kind of play with it right now, because what this is I think there's 29 pages of teachers around the world that want to connect via Seesaw blogs. So this tells you the information, their blog URL, so that you can join their class blog. So right now I'm going to go down to a 5th grade class, and I'm going to see what Miss Morrow is doing in New Jersey. So I'm going to copy this, and then when I go back into my Seesaw class, I'm going to go again to Manage Class, and I'm going to scroll down to connected blogs, and I'm going to click connect to blog, and I'm going to paste that remaining URL in there. So I'm going to do the green check. Oh, this is the right blog, so I'm going to connect to it. And you'll see that my class is now connected to 2 different blogs. So if I go again, sorry I'm jumping around a lot here, but if I click on our class blog, I'm going to see now connected blogs has changed to 2. So if I tap there, I can easily jump my students, and I can easily jump between any of these. So if I'm going to go to Soy 5M, I can see all of their work. I can type a comment. Okay, I can post that comment, and then what you notice when I add that comment, that is going to be pending that teacher's approval. So Brenda Morrow, who has this blog, she will have to approve my comment before it's posted to that blog. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is in our connected blogs here, if I go to manage class and scroll down to connected blogs, I can also remove blogs here. So if I'm like, I don't want to follow that blog anymore, I don't want my students to have access to it, I can just tap remove and then it's gone. Okay. The other neat thing to note is if I were on iOS devices, when I go into that connected blogs, I can actually see who's connected to our blog and kind of follow them back and connect back. It's really, really easy to do that. So I've gone through the basics. How do you get started? So again, this is how you can find classes to connect with here in this document. Blogging tips for you. So I'm going to go really fast through this stuff because I want to have enough time to answer all of your questions. But just know you're going to get all this to look through. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, she's moving too fast. I can't read all this stuff. Don't worry, you're going to get all these slides. So just quick tips. I think it's a good idea to inform your families if you're going to start a public blog. I did that in my kindergarten class. I said, hey, we're loving Seesaw. We're ready to share our learning with a larger audience. And then I also said, I just sent a note to my families in Seesaw. And if they had questions, they let me know, or any concerns. I gave also my families the option if they wanted their student to just have their initials show up. I changed their name in their Seesaw class to just show their initials. So that's another thing that you can consider. And these are great, just some classroom examples. If you don't know Sophia Smith, she's a 2nd grade teacher in Illinois. She's done great things with Seesaw blogs. I actually got her commenting, her tag commenting features, I guess you'd say, or modeling directions that I use with my kindergartners. So if you haven't seen her webinar, definitely check it out. The link is right there. The other thing to note as well is because your student icon is going to show on the blog, I always caution teachers about using the student's image as their profile icon. I was always very conscious of not connecting a student's face and a name together, in a public forum. So think about that as you are trying to publish work to a global audience, how you are going to handle that. But these just kind of give you some tips that you can look through from there. So just a couple things to note. In order to publish to the blog, the first step is it has to be in your Seesaw class. So keep that in mind. The other tip I would like to just share with you too, teachers have the ability to publish items to everyone. So when you're in your Seesaw class and you're adding an item, if you publish that to everyone, just in Seesaw, it goes into everyone's Seesaw portfolio. I always avoid publishing everyone items to the blog because then what happens is it will show every student listed and it will just have that item that the teachers really added to everyone. So kind of keep that in mind as well. Again, there's lots of tips for you here that you can, when you get the slides, read through. We have lots of resources to talk about digital citizenship. Obviously, if you want students to comment and leave feedback on other peers' work, how do you how do you prepare them for that? How do they practice that in a thoughtful way? So again, these are just resources for you that you will get after the webinar. And definitely check out this article. Heather Mars, who's a Seesaw ambassador, wrote this, and it's just so great about talking about don't teach digital citizenship, just embed it in your daily practice in your classroom. We have some posters for you to check out and print if you'd like to access those. And if you're thinking, I don't know if I'm ready to start blogging with my class yet, maybe I want to try a global connected classroom first. This is a webinar that I did with my friend in Northern Ireland because we connected our classrooms globally last year. So there's more info about that here. So we did that first so we could do a lot of modeling of digital citizenship, and then after that, a few months after that, is when my students were able to publish content to our blog. Another thing before we go into questions here, if you're really looking for that school-wide fix for digital portfolios or digital citizenship and parent connectivity and integration with what's happening at school, Seesaw for Schools is really your answer for that. So check this out if you're interested. Of course, you found me here today with PD in your PJs. Definitely check out this site. We have tons of recordings there regarding digital citizenship and Seesaw blogs and all sorts of good things to check out there as well. But I want to take time now for your questions. I wanted to see where you were at with blogs and see what questions I can answer here live. So I only see one question right now, so I'm going to ask you to type in questions. If you're thinking, oh my goodness, I wanted her to tell me this, but she didn't. I wanted to see this, but she hasn't shown me that yet. Go ahead and type that in because I want you to leave here today feeling confident that you can get started using Seesaw blogs with your students really quickly, really soon. So go ahead and type your questions in and then I will answer them here live. So Ruth is wondering, when students add comments to another blog, do you as a teacher have to approve the post before it's sent? So no, Ruth. So when your students post comments, the teacher of that blog is the one to approve those comments. So again, spending that time modeling that digital citizenship is a great thing to do before you're having students leaving comments on other student blogs. But just note again that any comment coming into a blog has to go through teacher approval first. So keep that in mind as well. So my questions are completely empty. So I need some questions coming in here about Seesaw blogs so I can answer them for you here today live. Okay, so Jody is wondering, could you use a blog like Twitter tracking students' work? Okay, so you might have to elaborate a little bit on what you mean, Jody. But I know Jody is an art teacher, so this was a great, Seesaw blogs is a great way for students to be able to view other student work that maybe aren't in that Seesaw class. So if you work with grade levels, if you want to share your work with other classes at your grade level, Seesaw blogs is perfect for that. If you want to share student work, of course, with the Globe, Seesaw blogs is perfect for that as well. All right, Aubrey is wondering, what do you suggest for step one in transitioning from Seesaw as a portfolio to a blog? So Aubrey, I think the first thing is you can do both in unison, okay? So we had, in my kindergarten class last year, we had, our Seesaw class. So here we are, our Seesaw class. All of our content went into Seesaw. Every single thing, first had to go into our Seesaw class. The way we decided if our work was going to go to the Seesaw blog was if this was, oh my goodness, our very best work that we had to show the world. So we had lots of conversations about what kind of work that might be and what the purpose of sharing to the blog would be. So that might be a step one for a spot to start. Beth is wondering, what would you say the main purpose of having a Seesaw blog is? So the main purpose in my mind is to be able to connect your students with a larger global audience. So that means if they're posting work to a public blog, anyone in the world could view that work and give them comments and feedback. So this little kindergartner here is giving comments and feedback to a kindergartner in Hong Kong. Okay, so for her that was extremely powerful to even see work that another student was doing, but then for that student to receive that comment from, you know, a same age peer thousands of miles away is pretty powerful. Um, Next question, Aubrey wants to know, okay, so step one with students. I think step one with students is just to explain, depending on what grade level you're working with, what a blog is, you know, separate from our Seesaw class. Again, and really sharing with them that it's to share with the world. That's why we have, you know, the globe icon. You're sharing your work with the world. And then I think definitely watch Sophia's webinar. She goes into detail with how she starts. She talks about you know, the kind of work we share. She talks about how do we comment appropriately. They do a lot of things offline before they do any sort of online work too. Ruth is wondering, does a notification for an incoming blog post appear the same as notifications for student work to be approved? Yes, it does. So so let me actually just show you that again. So if I am here in Seesaw and I am Karina and I'm a student and I want to publish this to the blog, I'm going to tap publish to the blog. You'll see it's waiting for approval. I'm going to jump back into my teacher class and you'll notice that I'm just going to refresh here to get it to show up here right away. I can tap down here from the teacher's perspective, and that's an unapproved item. So it comes in the same exact spot as any other item would come to. All right, Beth is wondering, could you use the blog for homework type things for comments? Let me think about that for a minute. So if you wanted, okay, so are you thinking, Beth, that you are going to publish just specific work that you want them to respond to and everyone to view? You could do that if you know your students aren't able to log in, you know, view their Seesaw class from home. But I think, I don't know how I feel about that. If you're just trying to push something out there for students to respond to, they could always respond just via the parent app as well with comments. You know, I suppose you could do it both ways. I think, again, you could publish certain items that way. I think, again, my intent, I guess, in using the blog is more for connecting with peers on a global scale. Okay, Alyssa's wondering, I have preschoolers who do not read or write. Do you use the audio to blog? So you can leave audio comments and feedback on the blog, which I loved, which was huge for my kindergartners. To be able to hear those little voices was amazing. So just like they can record voice comments in, you know, Seesaw, the Seesaw class, they can also do that on the blog as well. So, and just to note too, when you're starting, if you're working with littles, like, you know, pre-K and kindergartners, definitely a lot of modeling. I wouldn't just kind of send them off and be like, we're gonna blog. You know, I did a lot of my things in a small group and kind of approached it that way. So Rebecca's wondering, is there any coordinated author or shared reading classroom connections, or is it entirely up to us to seek out a classroom to connect with? So basically, I was asked that all the time. So I created this doc. So basically how you want to use this doc is, let's say you are a first grade teacher and you're like, gosh, I really just kind of want to start small. I want to connect with just one classroom. I would just go to this document and I would look and see a spot that you're interested in connecting with, and I would say, hey, I would love for my students to connect with this class in Thailand. And then you can tweet this person, go on Twitter and find them. And then also teachers sometimes also have their email address there too if they're not on Twitter. And then you could contact them that way and just kind of see what you have in mind. You can also just connect with their blog and not have a specific project set up and just let your students view the work that they're doing and let them have feedback as well. All right, Jody's wondering, wouldn't every student want to publish their work? Do you ever publish the work you want, or do you think it is important for each of them to blog? Okay, so Jody, yeah, so conversation. So yes, all of my kindergartners wanted to post every single thing to the blog. So we kind of had to put the brakes on and think, all right, what specific things do we want to share if we're sharing it with the entire world? So again, that's just part of modeling and conversation and how you intend for it to be set up. Let's see, Alyssa's just following up. I'm thinking more posts as a class when there is a group project. We want to get feedback from friends in Seesaw. Yes, you totally can do that. So you can post as the teacher. So what I would suggest doing if you want to just kind of share, if you're going to be posting to the blog from a teacher role, I would suggest just what you can do is when you add an item, if you don't tag anyone, it's going to show as published, posted by the teacher. So let's just do that really quick so you can see this flow. So I'm a teacher and I want to share this amazing smiley face that we've just created in my class with the world. Obviously, it'd be a little more complicated. I'm not going to tag anyone in this. I'm going to leave this completely blank. If I do the green check mark, there's the item. It's showing my teacher profile, Angela at Seesaw. If I tap the globe icon, I'm going to go publish to blog, and then that is published to the blog. So then it will show that that item was published by me, the teacher, to the blog. So that's how I would approach that if you want to post, you know, kind of class type announcements for a larger global audience. So, all right, Beth has one last question we're going to answer here. Have you ever had a parent tell you that they do not want their child work on the blog if it's an open blog? I'm not sure I'm using the correct term. Okay, so Beth, again, I would suggest talking to your families and just saying, hey, we're going to do this blog. You know, you can, I basically gave my families three choices. I said, yep, their child can post to the blog, and I was very clear that I was never going to connect a student image with a student name. And then I just said, obviously, I approve everything that goes to the blog. They can see what's on the blog as well. So that was option one. Option two was, yes, I want them to be able to blog, but just change their icon name to be their initials. And then I had other families that I gave the option of, no, I don't want things published to, you know, a public blog. I actually didn't have any parents that chose that option, but I think, you know, giving that option, having that option available is always a great idea, of course. So we are wrapping up here with our blogging webinar. I can't wait to see what blogs you create with your students. And then if you have other questions, make sure you send them to help@seesaw.me, or you can tweet me as well. You will get the slides and you will get this recording. You're also going to see a little survey after this webinar. We love, love, love for you to fill that out so we can have feedback and see if there's things that we can do better. So thanks, everyone.